Hi, this is Aurora from Aurora's Apothecary, and today we're going to visit an herb that I have a bit of a hate-hate relationship with. As an herbalist, there are lots of herbs out there, hundreds and hundreds of herbs to study and to learn what they do. So most beginner herbalists start with a book and they study those herbs in that book, and most of those herbs in that book are cultivated herbs, all the popular ones. Chamomile, peppermint, lavender, of course. So that's where I started. And then I realized there was a lot of herbs around me that were growing naturally. And these are the ones I should study because they're plentiful and available to me. And there was one particular herb that was everywhere. It grows in the fields, and it grows all over my garden, and it is goldenrod. This beautiful herb here. Because it's everywhere, I don't need it in my garden. I live in a rural community where I would say a block away is the fields and the forests. So there's plenty of goldenrod where I can get it. So I don't need it in my garden where I should be growing things that I can't get a mile away from my house or a block away. But I have pulled so much goldenrod out of my garden, and I never thought about using it. I just wanted to get rid of it. I just wanted to grow the peppermint and the chamomile and all these wonderful herbs that I have been studying. And that goldenrod was staring at me the entire time, saying, "Look at me, I'm so pretty, I'm right here, and I am medicine that you should be using." Different kinds of goldenrod, and they're all very similar in medicinal qualities, but they do look a little different. They're always going to have the telltale golden flowers. Now these are a little bit out of season. We're getting done with the yellow flowers. There's some great yellow flowers right over here. Most of the goldenrod that you'll see is about this tall, so it comes between like 3 and 4 feet tall. Up in Door County, we are here in Wisconsin. In Door County, there's this plant around my campsite that I couldn't figure out what it was all summer. I'm used to seeing a goldenrod that looks like this, and it started flowering just this fall. And that's when I figured out it's a goldenrod, but it's really, really short. So that one is only about 1.5 to 2 feet tall. And then I think they go all the way up to 5 feet tall in correct conditions. Now, what are those conditions? Goldenrod likes the sun. It just screams sunny. So you're going to find it in meadows and fields and the edges of woods. So along the roadsides a lot. As you're driving along, you'll see little bits here and there, or a full field of yellow. And there's a lot of other yellow things blooming at this time. There are the black-eyed Susans and the compass plants. So lots of yellow going on in the fall. And actually, the goldenrod, when it starts blooming, that's when I realize summer's over. That's another reason why I kind of have that hate relationship with it. It tells me fall is on its way and summer's over, so. Goldenrod is so prevalent because it is a perennial, so it grows from its roots, but it's also about to produce seed, and that seed is going to have a little fluff on it, and the wind is going to take it. So not only does it produce by getting bigger and bigger from its roots, but it produces from seed. So you get double the amount of goldenrod that you have. Goldenrod is, like I said, easy to identify in the fall, but it has, let's see if I can pull one of these off. Let's do a big one. Ooh, let's do a really big one. It'd help if I had clippers. So goldenrod has these lance-like leaves, and they've got some serration on them and long veins, and that is how you can tell what they are when they're not blooming. There are many different kinds of goldenrod, and that's why we see them so prevalently in the fall when they're flowering. Before they flower, most people don't even realize that they're there. And I have a lot of people that send me pictures of, what is this plant? And a lot of times it's goldenrod, because as it's coming up in the spring and the summer, it doesn't flower, so it's just green and people don't really know what it is. Alright, now let's talk about the medicinal effects of this very abundant herb that is everywhere and just waiting for you to use its medicine. First, a little story. When I would do the farmers markets, I would talk to people about their allergies. And people would say, "Oh, goldenrod, I'm allergic to goldenrod. When the goldenrod blooms is when I have my allergies." And I try to tell them, you're not allergic to the goldenrod. It is in fact the other plant that's blooming at the same time that the goldenrod blooms. This guy here. He does not look as big and predominant as the goldenrod. When you see a field with both of these plants in, you don't notice this one. He doesn't have colorful flowers. You only notice this one. So when your allergies are going on, you think it's this one that's causing it, not ragweed. This is ragweed. This is what's causing your allergies. When goldenrod puts out its pollen, it is only pollinated by bees because that pollen does not scatter onto the air. It's too heavy for that. Good old ragweed is what's really causing the problems. It has very light pollen and travels on the air. And it likes to hide in cornfields for sure. So when you're driving along and you have your windows open, that pollen is floating through the air. That is the ragweed. So the goldenrod is actually the solution. Goldenrod has antihistamine qualities. Our other herb that we like to use for antihistamine qualities is nettle. And so nettle is available in the spring, and goldenrod is available in the fall. If you'd like to see more about nettle, I do have a nettle video, and we'll put the link right below, and you can check that out. Now, the medicinal qualities, besides being an antihistamine, goldenrod is great for a lot of things. So, like I said, I never really looked into it. I was so busy looking at other herbs, and this one was just staring at me the whole time saying, use my medicine. And it has pain and anti-inflammatory qualities. It's also very good for the urinary tract and the kidneys. It likes to flush things out of the body. So when there's a lot of guck and buildup in the body and infections, the goldenrod will help get rid of all that. And it's also good for mouth infections, which I just found out this week. I used it. I had something going on with a tooth or something, and so I made a tea out of it, and I gargled that tea, and then I also took some of the tea also, and it really helped with whatever I had going on in there. The goldenrod was amazing. So that was what I had going on. The medicine was right outside my door. It is also an antifungal, so it helps with candida. And with our diet and what's going on with our bodies these days, a lot of people suffer from candida. So with goldenrod, you can take it as a tea, which is very pleasant. It actually does not have a bad flavor to it, which is always good in my book. There's a lot of herbs that are very medicinal out there that are usually pretty bitter. And most people, when they think of herbal teas, they think of all the good tasting ones. But if you really want a lot of that medicine, like white willow and stuff, you're going to end up with that bitter quality. So goldenrod doesn't really have too much of a flavor. So it's great to have in a tea by itself, or you can put it in a tea with other herbs. Besides making a tea out of this, we can keep this medicine all year long and for years beyond by making a tincture. So you can either make a tincture with it fresh and you want to use like a 70% alcohol, or you can dry it and use a 40 to 50% alcohol, which is sometimes easier for people to find. So be it tea or tincture, that's how we would take it internally. It's really good for the skin also, and when you're dealing with that inflammation, you can use it for pain. We can make a salve with it. Typically we want to make a salve out of dried material, so we want to dry it first, and then make the salve with it. So you want to infuse it in oil. When we're drying it, you can put it into a dehydrator, but I find that it dries really well in the air. The more heat that you add to an herb, the faster you lose its essential oils and some of its good healing qualities. So I like to just hang it in bunches and let it dry on its own. If you like learning about herbs, we have more videos. We have videos on our YouTube channel. We have a Facebook, which we put a lot of things on there, so that's fun to follow. And so also our Instagram. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page and click the bell for notifications, and all of our info is right below.